It's your one and only God's love, Abbasi. Here to encourage you in life, no matter what you pass through. You're gonna make it one day in life. Yeah. From zero to hero. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. From zero to hero. I was down. God lifts me up. He sets my feet upon the rock to stay. I have moved from nothing to something, from zero to hero. Is the life complete? From zero to hero is the life I live. I can face tomorrow. My Redeemer lives. Yes, I'm a champion. I'm a royal priest. From zero to hero is the life I live. From zero to hero is the life I live. I can face tomorrow. I'm a champion. I'm a royal priest. From zero to hero is the life I live. Yeah. So one and only. From zero to hero. Come on.
Hello, sir. Please can you tell us about the Conversation Motivational Platform?
The Conversation Motivational Platform, our love language is value. A platform care to follow your pain to bring about a change.
Please tell us more.
A platform to help you find your sweet spot, gain your momentum. A platform that cater for suicide, depression, and loneliness.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now you know, so tell someone about this platform. God bless you.
Can you tell me a little about yourself?
Yes.
What is your sweet spot?
My sweet spot is value.
What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
I love dancing and meeting new people.
What is your favorite color? What are your favorite moments?
Favorite color is blue. My favorite moments is motivating others.
What motivates you every day?
I am motivated every day by helping someone to move from zero to hero.
You have any hobbies or interests outside of work?
Yes. I enjoy podcast, motivational speaking, spending time with family.
What's something people might be surprised to learn about you?
People will be surprised to know that I know how to cook.
How do you usually handle stress or pressure?
I handle stress and pressure by losing for positive outcome.
Do you prefer working alone or in a team?
I prefer working with a team.
Who has been the biggest influence?
My biggest influence in my life, my little sister Janet and my big brother Travis.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Guyana.
What's a personal achievement you're proud of?
I am proud of being the visionary of the Conversation Motivational Platform.
Once again, good evening, each and everyone. Welcome to the Conversation Motivational Hour with yours truly, Pastor Seon Rodney. Welcome, tribe. Welcome, community. Welcome, village. I want to let you know our love language is value. I want to let you know that tonight we're going to be evolving. We're going to be matriculating with the greatest rule of thought tonight, with the concept of tonight. You know, we must understand the importance of setting standards. And I have with me tonight one of my friend, my brother I have met for a long time and become a family, and no other than Jay LeBron. Let you into a secret. Many years ago, or many moons ago, I've met my American brother, and we met at the greatest church, which is the blackest church in numbers and ethnicity in Atlanta, Georgia, better known as New Birth
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Church. And I went there to do a few motivational speaking and so forth. That's many moons ago. And I come to into contact with my brother Jay LeBron. And since then, we'll be rolling deep, we'll be rolling wide. He's a motivational speaker. He is a pastor. He is an entrepreneur. He is a financial mogul. He is a singer, rapper. He do spoken word and all of the likes. I'm happy to be your friend, Jay LeBron. I'm happy to be your colleague. I'm happy to know you and to continue being in the company. As I said from the first time and from the onset, I see greatness in you, and I have seen this being unfolding as the day go by. With that being said, Jay LeBron, I want you to introduce yourself to the audience, to the platform, and we take it from there.
Thank you, brother, Pastor Seon, man. I love that introduction, man. You really bringing the energy tonight. Oh my goodness, man. If you're trying to die down, it's not the place for you to be right now. You're gonna be up like you just drink some coffee. But
I have
I
some bush tea with me here.
Okay, I figured you had something. I'm coming off of a day of work, which I gotta continue to expand my business because it's the Sabbath, right? But with that being said, thank you. I'm Jay LeBron Anderson. I hail from Southern Georgia. I'm from a small town called Darien, Georgia. I've resided in Atlanta, Georgia, Richmond, Virginia, but upwards to about 20 years here in the wonderful city of Atlanta, Georgia. Background comes from a lot of sales, development, marketing. Have a degree in speech, public and political communications, and minor in music management. And I've been a sales professional, business development, teaching, training, and developing salespeople, motivating individuals from a standpoint of getting to their goals as well as developing businesses. And I'm a serial entrepreneur in the areas of jewelry, developing within business credit, consulting, in regards to financial literacy, as well as a studio owner, clothing line developer. And that's why my nickname is Mogul, because, God gave an entity, a master gave an entity 5 talents, gave some two, gave some one. And I just happen to
We have lost Jay LeBron. You have lost internet connection. But with that being said, I'm happy to be, as I said from the onset.
Yeah, I think it's this weather out here. It's a lot of rain. We had a earthquake in Georgia. So, it's interesting. I guess we are in our last days because we're having earthquakes in Georgia now. So, that's what we're going to roll with it. But I'm excited to be here, Pastor Sion, within this motivational conversation. And excited to see what God unleashes for individuals that are tuning in this evening.
And my brother and my friend and my colleague, I'm happy to see you wearing your brand tonight. You make me feel a kind of way because all I have is my necklace, but you all stick in your brand. That's what we do, man. We rep our brand because we believe our brand has to be trending while we are trending also. So with that being said, let people know where they can pick up, your brand of your clothing line, your jewelry, where they can reach you. If someone want to chop it up with you tonight, want to get into your sphere, where they can meet you, your TikTok or your Facebook or your Instagram, your whatever the sphere of your influence. And then at the back end, let them know where you fellowship because now you're evolving pastor to be. So let them know where they can come into your spirit for spiritual leadership and guidance. It's your floors in
Yeah,
there.
definitely. So if anyone wants to reach me, you definitely could just Google J. LeBron Anderson as it is on the screen, and connect with me on Facebook there. You can connect with me on Instagram also at J. LeBron Anderson. So all platforms, J. LeBron Anderson. If anybody wants to connect in regards to jewelry, which I'm the grill master of ATL. That is our company, the Grill Masters ATL. You can give me a dial at 404-889-6581. And this is the clothing line, Beyond Kings Collection. And Beyond Kings is really understanding that, God is above all and God is with his chosen people. And that's what this Beyond Kings collection is all about. It's all about representing the God within you. It's all about understanding whose you are and who you are. And so Beyond Kings collection is a line that I developed back in 2019, and God gave me the vision to showcase the empowerment and that we believe and support our community and know that we are the chosen individuals of God, the chosen people, and that we operate as such within his covenant and within his laws. And so, that's who we are and what we're all about. So yeah, once again, Sid, excited to be here to be able to represent and ready to dig in and see what the Lord extracts.
And Jay LeBron, as I know you're evolving pastor, and you are having your foot on the gas pedal, and I see you're also changing lanes. Every time I come onto your little snippets that you're doing, I recognize my brother is really growing. His language is growing, his deportment is growing. I'm seeing more of his confidence, and man, you're doing an amazing job. And as I called you and I said to you, I believe that if I celebrate you, I got to celebrate you privately and publicly to let you know that really I'm 10 tours down with you. So tonight I want to congratulate where you're going and let people know someone may be in your neighborhood, in the neck of the woods for your fellowship and still looking for a place. Let them know where they can find your place of fellowship and so forth.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So yeah, we're here in Atlanta, Georgia, off of Campbellton Road. Our address is 1955 Campbellton Road. That's going to be southwest. So 1955 Campbellton Road, southwest. We are Kingdom Fellowship Ministries. You'll see me. I'm an executive assistant to our senior pastor, Reverend Dr. Stanley Calloway. So all honor goes out to him for allowing me a platform to continuously grow within the ministry as a young minister in the ministry. I teach Sunday school. Generally, I'm every Sunday where we hyper focus on biblical financial success because we have to understand that in the world that we live in today, in America, this is a capitalistic country. And if you're going to be able to survive and be able to serve the Lord, you're going to need some money. And there are principles within that that first testament, that are foundational pillars in order for you to continuously be supplied for financially. So God has blessed us with wisdom, knowledge, and so we need to continue to gain understanding of that wisdom that He's bestowed upon us within our that First Testament. And so I'm there to teach that so that we can be empowered and not be in lack, because our people perish due to the lack of knowledge.
Yes, and I love that. So now you know how to connect to my brother and my friend and my colleague, and more so, I believe that because the topic this afternoon, I choose for someone who are trending in the same age group, representing the same generation, and we are evolving and matriculating, and we believe in setting standards for evolving and for matriculating. So this afternoon, we're going to talk about setting standards. And
Mhm.
it's important for an evolving person and an evolving individual in the tribe that you are called to represent. We have to understand why there is a shellacking, why they are not growth, why they are more recusal than people are trying to be involved. And we come to understand that the one simple thing is standards. Why people are not evolving, as my brother is a financial mogul and he does training financially, helping financial learners. We can be financially free, financially empowered. You can come out from financial shaming. You can come out from that place of financial embarrassment. You may be going through a downward spiral. I don't understand, why are you going downward? You may understand you are trending in deficit and never being over. And it's because of this simple thing that we're dealing with standards. And sometimes you want to know, why am I at the same place and not getting better? Why am I at the same place and not getting greater? Why the same place is not giving attraction in any way? Because it's the simple thing that we call standards. And you might go on, why am I attracting the liking of the same? Why the room are open but I can't get to the door? You see what I'm saying? Why the opportunity is before me and I can't get into the where the opportunity is? Because of standards. Like my brother Jay, remember the children of Israel, they saw the promised land. So let's call the promised land is the place of the opportunity, the place of their fulfillment, the place of the accrement, the place they should really get the seat at the table. They see the promised land, but their journey, but why they cannot really get to the promised land? It should take 40 days, it takes 40 years because they can't even fully comprehend to develop standards. Because what happened, my brother, is that people cannot embody change.
Mm-hmm.
For you to grow in standards, you have to be a person that are ready to embody change. So
Yes.
this afternoon, myself and my brother, we're gonna chop it up 10 toes down because we want the tribe, the community, and the village. We want you to trend for better. We want you to trend for greater. We want you to get into those rooms that God destined for you. He said that a man gift will make room for him and bring him before great men. You cannot get between great men if you don't have standards. He said he wished above all things that you prosper and be in good health. You cannot prosper and be in good health if you don't have standards. But you can have standards mentally because everything starts from the skull where God died. God got to heal the place of the skull. But after the skull, they have to be the standard met with action. So this afternoon, I'm going to hand over to my brother and he's going to help to form the synergy that how can the mental put into action in the developmental standards that you can really grow and glow. We want at the end of this podcast tonight that somebody gonna begin to live their third tier life, the third standard life, the Zoe life, my brother, which we call the God life. You know what I'm saying? That God wants us not just to live, but the abundant life we're talking about. Not just to be happy, but to be fully happy. Not just to have joy, but to be full of joy. So I hand over to you, my brother, tonight, and you just help us as we continue to navigate that someone will have the standard from mental to physical, and they can get into those doors, whether it be a wood door, whether it be a evolving door, whether it be an automatic door, whatever door that is available for you that you can able to walk into because you understand standards. Jay LeBron.
Thank you so much, Pastor Seon. And, one of the biggest things that I would say in this is, God, right? When God placed a seed in each and every one of us, and that seed that He's placed in us lies in a vision, and a talent is attached to that. And I believe that a man does not reach its true happiness and his true happiness until his purpose is fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever vision that he has in life, he must continuously go after that vision until he reaches that vision. Like the great Martin Luther King said, if you can't fly, then drive. If you can't drive, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, my brother, keep going. And so once that vision has been set in front of you, then you must stop at nothing until you reach that vision to reach your true happiness, allowing nothing to get in the way. And within that aspect, Pastor Sion, we have to understand that there are principles within that good book that our grandmother or our mother must have passed down to us, that our pastor may have told us to read, that there are principles within that book that will guide us through the process. One of the strongest books in Proverbs, written by one of the most wealthiest men that will ever live, King Solomon. When we understand the essence of King Solomon, why he obtained wealth, the reason was is because he asked first for wisdom. And since he asked for wisdom, God was able to see his heart and bless him with wealth. Because with great wealth without wisdom, you'll lose it. And
Mm-hmm.
so, within that aspect, understanding that wisdom is first and foremost. So, how do we obtain wisdom? Wisdom, like I said, is in that great book, this ancient book that provides us with rules and guidelines in order to be able to guide us to our true destiny. Also, in understanding our hearts, because God examines the heart. God examined the heart of every man. And training each man up to be who he's supposed to be starts with giving. We must all pay it forward. You are opening up an opportunity to be able to help gain a message out to the public to be able to pay it forward. So we have to be, as a people and as men in society, paying it forward so that we are the best givers that we can be. When God provides us with abundance, we must sow our first fruits from our tithes, and also adding to that within our offerings, and doing it ungrudgingly in happiness, understanding that within the laws, if we become givers, we become greater receivers. And
Mm-hmm.
when we become greater receivers and we have wisdom, we can do the correct things. And I don't want to get too spiritual because we have to operate in today's world. If we're not learning about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and life insurance, and investments, and being able to understand that we are powerful. We don't have to go after the low paying careers. We can be doctors, we can be lawyers, we can be surgeons, we can be dentists. We can be all of the things that make high paying careers, invest into businesses, and invest into financial vehicles so that we can become financially free, because a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And so when we think about what we're here for, we're talking about a standard. That's a biblical standard. That's a standard of excellence. That's a standard of never quitting. That's a standard of gaining knowledge. That's a standard of being able to apply the things that we know that we should do on this earth. Now, we could be taken away and thrown off by media, because media has been put in place to distract us. So when we're talking about a television, we understand that you are telescoping your vision into whatever they're broadcasting onto this sector. And for the lack of vision, our people perish. So if you don't have the right vision, you will end up perishing. So we have to understand how to follow the visions that God has given us and not be distracted by distractions. Because when we live in a world today showcases actors, models, leaders of our community, then we've already taken the wrong road, because they don't own themselves. They're owned
But
by leagues. They're owned.
my brother, I want us to take it sequentially, right? If we got to get us part two, we're not gonna rush.
Okay, okay. I don't want. Let
Let's
me.
take this thing.
Okay.
So seeing that you came out of the gate firing on all cylinders, and you're firing at the right time, at the right timing, and you talk about giving. You talk about giving, and you talk about tithes, and you talk about offering. And tonight, for those who are taking notes, mental notes, physical notes, or those who want to know what is the trending topic tonight, our trending topic is standards, because we want you to have a new mindset to get you into those spaces and those places that God destined for you to be. God said your gift will make room for you. Why am not going into these rooms that is set for me? The word of God said that your enemy gonna spread a table before you. Why the enemy? Why is spreading my own table? You understand? Why, the enemy is gonna bless me. Why am I blessing myself? Is something wrong with God's word? No. So my brother J. LeBron, Pastor J. LeBron, came out firing on all cylinders, talking about your tithes and your offering. So the first segment we're going to start with, the talk about giving. J. LeBron, everybody purpose in their heart, and some to give and some give. But do they give really to meet the standard of God? And I'm going to have to text and over to you in a quick second. Right? You see, God says it's not really the 10% we learned from Malachi. Right? That was the standard that of your giving according to your earnings. So someone say, I ain't earning nothing, so I can give whatever I feel like. But it's not really in how much is your percent. But he said, do not give grudgingly and sparingly, because a person that gives grudgingly and sparingly is a person who really have no really standard to the giving. So the standard is, how do you bring this? Okay, let me make it in a simpler way. I can give you this t-shirt, but did I give you this t-shirt and still look happy that I'm more happy to give you than you're happy to receive it? You see what I'm saying, my brother? So God's standard, I lost my brother because of we have a weather condition in Atlanta here, so we will be back and forth because where he is more to the hurricane and the tornadoes and stuff that we're experiencing in Atlanta, Georgia here as present. But nevertheless, God's standard for us in terms of giving is one should be of a. So you're supposed to bring your tithes and your offering with a happiness, not the amount, but the happiness standard. And then when you're giving grudgingly that you're giving your best and you left with the less. So God has a standard, one of your demeanor, your action, your facial countenance, all of this lifts your standard of your giving. That's supposed to be the amount that you give. So my brother tonight will help us to continue to the other segment of this is God's standards. Because in everything that God does is to bring attraction to his kingdom. So when you give that standard, it's either you're bringing people or you're destroying people. When I give happily, I am bringing along the happy people to want to know, why am I giving happy? Why am I not grudgingly giving? Why am I not giving sparingly? And therefore, I'm changing a generational thought. I'm changing a generational pattern for coming out from mediocre to lift a standard. And over to you, Jay. I remember I get changed save at 16, right, Jay? I get into leadership at 17. So, I start counting money. My brother, what should take half an hour, take sometimes 4 hours. You know why? The people bring, okay, I got a paper here. They bring the money to God. And this is how they bring the money. And they put it into the offering basket. So I got to take seconds to straighten the dollar, the $20. So imagine what could take half an hour, take 4 hours. But if you bring in something happy to God, even if it's $1, and I bring my dollar happily, and I bring my dollars without grudgingly, and I put it in the offering basket. This is a gift that God delights in. This is a gift that God is pleasing. This is a gift that will go like a sweet aroma because I'm giving with standards. Then versus me, I give you a t-shirt with a hole under the arm, with the sleeve being cut, with it. That is not a standard giving. It is give you and turn back laughing, you receive it. So my brother want you to go into the second segment of standards tonight.
So yeah, when we speak upon standards, especially when it comes down to giving, we know that Abraham gave 10%. We understand that that is the Mosaic law. And that being said, which is standard. Now, we understand Judaic law. We understand today in the natural world that we give that 10% after we have paid our taxes. So it's not all of the gross, it's after your taxes are paid. That is a standard. Now, biblically, we understand that there are the tithes and the offering. Because what happens is we find people who don't find immediate results when they give the standard of just tithing. And then lose sight of the law, which is tithe and offering. And offering can be throughout many cases, whether it's giving food to the homeless, whether it's giving to financial, whether it's giving your time and dedicating. We understand that we have to press forward to do a little bit more because the standard is tithing and offering. And so, brother, that's where, Romans is the prerequisite of showcasing our heart to God. And if we showcase our heart to God, God is going to trust us with abundant wealth. And it's amazing how, I look at other individuals, like I just saw Bill Gates has decided to give away 99% of his wealth.
You have, my brother, you have a fan close to you? You have a fan on? You have a fan? Is it blowing into your microphone? It come a little muffled. Is a fan blowing into your microphone?
It's not. I hear that feedback too. I hear it when you're speaking too. I don't know whether it's the storm really doing it to us.
Okay, continue. Yeah.
And so when I look at the individuals who have been blessed with mass wealth, and I'm going to talk about this because our people, when it comes down to the Black community, we have been brainwashed. We've been brainwashed to not know who we are as the chosen people, as the children of Israel. And there are now individuals called Jews, which the Bible teaches us that there will be one day of people that call themselves Jews that aren't really Jews. But there is a law that has taken us to a place that does not.
All right, this storm is really affecting us tonight. I've lost my brother again. I will continue. So as on the same vein, there must be a standard in giving, which we already established, and there must also be a standard in receiving. What are your standards in your receiving tonight? God have a standard for receiving our gift. Let me come Bible for you tonight, because you may feel that I'm coming from thin air. Let's go into the book. Cain and Abel, they both were receiving giving what was required. What was required is a gift from their skill set. That what was required by Almighty God. Cain was a farmer. Abel was a cattle rearer. But they both bring up their skill set, what was required, which is the gift. But what is required from you also required standards. And we established that standards is required, one, of your presentation. Two, your demeanor as you being the person to present the presentation of that gift. So God requires standards. And therefore, let us understand that Cain bring his gift as required, the gift that even though it came from the ground, the didn't meet the standard for God to receive it, because in Cain's heart, oh yes, it has animosity, it had bitterness, it had envy, and God said to Cain, if thou do well, would I not receive your offering? I'm talking about God has standard with what he wants to receive. And tonight, when you're giving your gift, you must give a gift of standard, that who have standard will receive your gift happily. So God looked down at Cain and said, bro, I can't receive the gift. You give a gift is required, you bring it, but your heart ain't right. Your mind ain't right. And as the man of God being God, I cannot lower my standard, Jay, to receive your gift. Can go and fix your heart, go and fix your mind towards your brother, and come back, and then I will receive your gift. We need to raise a
Right.
standard for our generation and the generation to come. Sometimes what we do out of our own self, we kind of go in timidity, afraid to let people know that the gift you're giving to me, that is not of the standard I'm living for. That is not the standard I want to require. So you're not going to bring anything and give me, and I must receive it because it's a gift you giving to me. So oftentimes we grow up to just receive any gift. And because you receive it, it matriculates to how they start treating you. And therefore, you cannot get into those spaces and places. You cannot get into the way God will intend for you. Because sometimes is how we receive the gift that come to us because we lower our standard. Lowering self standards bring one of self-sabotage. So we self-sabotage ourselves from God's greatness. We self-sabotage ourselves from the places and spaces that God intended for us because we receive any gift that come anyhow, that packages anyhow, any presentation, and therefore we just happy because we in need of that gift, and that is not what God representation is of us. So therefore God said, Cain, if thou do well with, I will not accept your offering. So therefore we understand even the rejection of the offering with God didn't lower his standard. What happened? Cain proceeded with killing his brother. His brother brings standards, bring love, bring joy, bring peace, bring happiness, bring love, bring contentment. His brother meets the standard and God accepts Abel's offering.
Correct.
Jay LeBron, if I give you a shirt that look at it was worn since 1969, would you accept it?
I probably would try to be nice to you, but I probably wouldn't wear it.
Yeah, we're gonna stay around this rule of thought for tonight.
I
So
understand. No, I don't. I tell you, I appreciate the gesture, brother, but you know, I'm already good on shirts. I have enough of them.
yeah, you see how you say that?
Hmm.
Because what happened? What we normally do, because we were raised by the old time generation parents, and we want to maintain what we were taught. So we accept the gift, even we know it's not our standard. We take it and we put it where it will never be seen or worn again.
Hmm.
And that person leave us and go to find somebody else. So it's trending that they're giving faulty and defective things that they would not wear. So they continue living in that standard that they're self-sabotaging themselves, that they don't know what excellence is. They will never mount to excellence because excellence seems that what is accepted. So if God has lowered his standard and say, all right, Cain, man, I'm gonna accept your offering, man. After a while, you bring an offering. Over to you, my brother.
No, you're correct, Sion, and that's actually one of our largest issues, that there's no spirit of excellence, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no standard where individuals are seeing themselves because they're getting guided by so much media, so much lackluster situations. No one wants to put the work in. You know, there was a time before you can get into an actual industry, you had to be an apprentice and you
Mm-hmm.
had to serve 10,000 hours prior to you being able to work in that field. So you had to master it before then. And this is not even the time where you were actually getting paid for what you were doing. This was showcasing your dedication
Mm-hmm.
to the craft. And so in today's world, there's no interns. No one wants to be an intern, right? Everybody wants instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to take out the trash. No one wants to learn, the nooks and crannies of a particular industry. It's more about getting on social media and putting a camera in your face and talking, and that's where we find these fly by night situations where individuals come and they go. And so you're 100% correct in regards to setting a fundamental mental foundation of standards and excellence. And we've been guided, we speak from a biblical standpoint. We've been guided on what is the spirit of excellence. What are the prerequisites and guides in order for us to obtain success, right? And we just fall short of that. We put trust too much in other individuals to guide us instead of being self-guided from a situation of education, right? Because it's all there in black and white, right? This information is laid out for us, but we don't go through that information ourselves. And unfortunately, we're in a community where, even from a pastoral position, we've been brainwashed. We've been taught by those who have not been taught by the correct individuals with the right motives, with the right direction, with the right understanding and wisdom. Because not much of us come from wealth. And one of the hardest things to do when developing yourself, one of the hardest things to do is when you're coming from an impoverished mindset. Gaining wealth is one of the hardest things to do because the prerequisite is giving. If you come from nothing, you're used to scratching and surviving and fighting for everything that you have. So when does giving come into play? It doesn't come into play, especially giving to God. That just does not happen. So, Sion, for the topic of discussion of standards, we just are missing out from fundamentals. And fundamentals and standards, they really can be synonyms. So as we go through the process, we have to really, really dive deep into finding the adequate leadership. Because all of the prayer, the praise, and the hoping, and the manifesting, and the affirmations, all of these things without actual work, that's not fundamental. That's not standard, right? That's the fly by night situation. That's the hoping and the wishing. But what I do know, after years of development and scratching and surviving and figuring out and asking God for wisdom and learning and developing, that after that time has come, you develop what they call an algorithm. Right. And I'm not talking about the algorithm that goes viral on the internet, but an algorithm in your mind that in any situation, any place, you can find a way through it. I would determine that if I lost all that I had today, I would get it back fairly quickly because I know how to get it. And that's based off the algorithmic setup in my mind. So being able to go through it will allow you to, at any time, have a roadmap to do it again. All right. And so that's where, this comes from, our standards and development. So yes, Sion, I'll pass it back to you because I could get long-winded.
And I love when you talk about now we shift our standards now to the standard in terms of, I love what you trended to. Most of us have not accustomed to wealth. And because we cannot enjoy wealth because we wasn't teaching financial standards.
Right.
Praying, worshiping, and all this affirmation, as you said, is good. But because we don't understand spiritual standard, it's trickled down. Everything have a domino effect, have a reciprocal way in life. So you find some people, they're very good in the word. They can find John 3:16 faster than me and I, or me and you. And they know, a matter of fact, they're the walking Bible. Affirmation quote, they can say affirmation in their sleep. But to match the full effect of realistic of what coming from here to here is something too different.
Correct.
But what we understand, God spend less preaching, spend less in affirmation, and spend more governing.
And that's a fact. You know, I look online when it comes down to preaching, and what I see is viral moments. Viral moments, and when I speak on viral moments, controversial moments. All of the education is about what somebody would have done to you and why you don't need this person in your life and all of this and this and that. None of the things that develop a foundation in our community or develop a foundation for you to acquire true happiness, right? That's that's if you're doing what you should be doing from a fundamental standpoint, all of those other things will come together, right? If you're taking in that wisdom, then you will make wise moves. And so, you know, those are the prerequisites that I feel that have to be in place in order to really for our community to continuously grow. But I don't see that happening. I see a lot of self-indulgence. I see a lot of ego going through. I see a lot of judgment that happens. You'd be amazed because, you know, I started my YouTube channel, right? You followed the new posts and things of that nature, so you see the clips. And man, I get so much hate um from individuals like, "Oh, he's speaking but he has long hair. I don't want to listen to him." Oh, he's speaking like he just has too much money. Oh, he has a chain on, you know, man, you know, it's so much judgment that happens. And it's so interesting because, you know, from a biblical standpoint or from a Christian standpoint, when we talk about Jesus Christ was a man that never judged. He never judged anybody. I've never read in the Bible where he judged anyone. And so the our focus is so distorted today. It's so distorted from the true foundation of how we should be taking in information, how we should be feeding our mind, how we should be operating from a day-to-day basis. And so I
I think
mhm,
most
go ahead.
Christians, most believers, they stop at salvation. So everything
That's a fact. That's a
salvation,
fact.
but not standards. You see, Jesus preached salvation, brings salvation, but he went on to standard. And then a
Right.
standard will teach you strategy.
Right.
You don't find much spiritual strategies.
Right. And
But
there's so many strategies. Did you know that Jesus speaks on money 2,300 odd times throughout the Bible?
yeah,
So we understand the standards,
mhm,
right? Teaching you standards, right? Practical applications. But we miss out on all of this stuff, right? Or we find that if somebody or a speaker or a pastor speaks on this, that they're just looking to gain, you know, money for themselves, right?
mhm,
And so we don't understand that there's things called a spiritual deposit
mhm.
into the National Bank of Heaven. And what I know about the National Bank of Heaven, that they have a huge return rate. And so we have to really just try to re-navigate and reconstruct how we are receiving messages, but also how we're delivering our messages. And
So
so,
look at this, Jay. Jesus, right? We're talking about financial strategy. We talk about spiritual strategies now after
mhm,
salvation, right? Because strategy standards develop salvation. Because standards is how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you dress, how you standards is tech after salvation.
right,
Standards do not give you salvation. So salvation you cannot give yourself, but you can develop standards. Okay, your parents going to help you with that. Salvation is of the Lord. Good. Jesus brings salvation to three men. And now it's strategy of
right,
standard. I give you 5 talent. I give you 5 talent. I give you one. You see the spiritual strategy. They both know John 3:16. They both know all the scriptures that say about God give me the power to get wealth. They all know about fasting and praying. Now is a call for action with the strategy and standard. So God put himself up.
Right.
And he's looking.
And that's where a lot of, you know, the Christians fall, you know, with just it's the prayer, and that's great. All of the just hoping and wishing without actually implementation, right? Practical implementation. And we have to get to that phase, and we have to develop programs. You know, that's why, you know, when we here at 1955 Campbellton Road, that's why we, you know, I'm graced that our senior pastor allows me to hyper focus on biblical financial success, right? Where we're speaking on taxes, we're speaking on debt, we're speaking on credit, we're speaking on these things, we're talking about this, and then we're using and we're bringing in biblical components where these things are applied and we're showcased. And so, yeah, Sion, this is it's a time where we really have to really come together as a community and have conversations like this, because it's important. Because if not, we're in big trouble, because it's projected by 2053 that the median wealth for a black and brown home is going to be zero. You know, I myself was a victim of AI, right? Leading a career in sales where my department was replaced by technology. And it's not going to stop because we're in a capitalistic nation. Individuals want to make as much money as possible. So, however many corners that can be cut, they're going to be cut. And so, if we as individuals aren't moving on from a standard of we're irreplaceable, meaning we're going after jobs that are surgeons, we're going after lawyers, we're doing things, or we're creating businesses, and then we're inventing things, because God made an earth that is imperfect. It is our job to perfect it. And so we must take things and develop them creatively, because we are creators. We're made in God's image, and God is a creator, and create things that will allow us to be irreplaceable. We need ownership. And so I heavily believe that we have to really gain more traction, because I looked at the NFL draft, there was 150 odd some players drafted into the NFL. 150. That's a very low number, a very low number. But we're encouraging our children to be slaves on these plantations, whether it's a football field or it's a basketball court or wherever it may be, but not empower ourselves educationally or develop businesses or to develop legacy. And so these things are super important.
Well, the scripture says
See, are
that,
you still there? I know
yes,
this tornado is really killing us right here.
but the scripture says God gave us the power to
So
get.
yeah, as our brother is going, you know, I really feel that we really have to change our methodology and how we educate our children, what we glorify, and really what we have as our fundamentals and our standards, so that we can continue to grow as a community.
Yeah, God gave us the power to get wealth. And we ask ourselves sometimes why we're not living in God's promise. Why we're not living in when God says in his word, these standards has to be met. God does not lower his standard, but we lower our standards because, one, the phraseology that we govern our life by, that we grew up hearing. Number one, the first phraseology we grew up with, Jay, is that don't put your hat where your hand can reach. That means do not take chances. Do not take risk. Do not make investment. So we govern our life by that phraseology. Right? then we see ourselves that, you know what? You have to have certain capacity to tell yourself you can really be at that place of privilege. So
That's the fact.
God says, I give you the power. This is from the before you are a person. Before you are a person, before I was a person, God said, I give you, Seon, the power to get wealth. He don't take back his word. He don't take back his. As a matter of fact, there's no negotiation with heaven and earth. But the thing is that we weren't taught strategy and standard. How do I guide myself? When to speak, where, and how to speak. How do I position myself? When to position myself, when not to position. What is strategy should be applied? My brother Jay?
I'm following you, Sion. I mean, we all know that the essence that we lack a generational input of knowledge in regards to the correct places. Like you talked about. You talked about risk. You know, I study one of the most wealthiest patriots on the planet, which is John D. Rockefeller. And John D. Rockefeller talks about how afraid people are to borrow money. And one of the things that we look at, there's good debt, there's bad debt, right? You know, I focus a lot on business credit. I currently personally don't have any personal credit debt. I have business debt, but that's business debt that doesn't affect me personally. I can still go get whatever I want to get. I could do whatever I wanted to do. But utilizing what's out there for us and taking risks and betting on ourselves is the way to win, right? You know, we talk about what OPM, other people's money, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bank is other people's money. You know, and it's interesting because I look at, I study these Judaic laws and understanding that we should not borrow with interest. We should not borrow money with interest. But guess what? Chase has 0% interest right now for 18 months. so, so I can still follow the Judaic law, which for me as a true Israelite, being able to operate in that capacity within business. Because if I can't make a return in 18 months, I don't need to be doing it. It's not, it doesn't make sense. And so yeah, we speak on these things and I'm laughing, I'm joking, but I'm serious. I'm very serious about, what we have. But yes, we have to take these risks. We have to be an individual because if we have faith,
Mm-hmm.
then we're able to take these risks.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, yes, God has given us the power to gain wealth, right? And he has told us that we are his chosen people. And so the problem is that we're not taught that. We're not taught that we're God's chosen people because if we had been taught that we are God's chosen people, we would approach life differently. It is my birthright to be wealthy. It is my birthright not to be poor. These are my birthrights.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being instilled in me, I approach life differently. I walk with a different type of swagger. I speak
Mm-hmm.
differently. My confidence is at a different level. It's not confidence, it's Godfidence. I know that God is in me, so I walk in this particular stature. I operate in this particular stature. And so, yeah, this is where, these conversations, like I said, they make sense. And I thank you so much for having me here today. I know we're running out of time here, but I thank you so much, Pastor Seon, for bringing me on today. I got to get prepared for tomorrow and, get on that mic tomorrow. But I thank you so much for this platform. And I thank you and I bless your ministry.
But one of the things, Jay, that we ask ourselves, why am I not wealthy? Why am I not wealthy? And I've been a recipient of foreign against with that rule of thought. The enemy would not come into our lives with an horn showing. The devil don't gonna come like a horn, because you can know the devil, right? He not gonna come like a serpent because you gonna know the serpent is the devil, right? But he come in the spear of what you may like.
That's a fact.
That's why sometimes our answer right there, why I am not enjoying the fat of the land, why I am not wealthy, because the enemy comes undetected to derail you. You said the word, the algorithm. Look at Jesus. You see, there's two parts to us, Jay. What the enemy succeed before your part one, he coming to succeed in your part two. The part one, he succeed before you start taking up the preaching appointment, and he won. Now you pick up the preaching appointment, he's coming back with part two. If you're not spiritually sound, he gonna derail you again. Let me give you an example. Kind of like Bible, right? Because we Bible guy. You remember he succeeded with the first Adam. What did he come with part two to the second Adam? Man, you ain't gotta go to the cross, buddy. You ain't the cross, no. But Jesus said, get thee behind me, Satan. Not Peter. But it's the part two strategy. So why am I not wealthy? What the devil using my part one to keep me in poverty? That thought, that mindset, that concept. Now I'm a born again. I happen to have a little more. He is coming back with part two to keep me sane. So when he come in, Bano, you don't have to do this thing by, or do it. And sometimes we give in to suggestions that comes like the body, that comes like the friend, and we establish that suggestion, and that suggestion is derail us for the rest of our life. And Jesus gave in to the suggestion of Peter. There will be no cross. There will be no salvation. What would happen to us? Part 1J is a suggestion. Eve, I got a suggestion for you. Eat this fruit. You remember what she did? Adam came. So influence alone didn't work. Influence always comes with a suggestion. So he won part one with his influence and his suggestion. So he come with part two, try with his influence, because Peter had great influence on Jesus. We all know that. Because when everybody walk away, only Peter said, you won't go away too, man. Peter said, man, you alone have a words of eternal, to whom shall I go? So Peter had great influence on Jesus. So he came with the same part too. You don't have to die. You don't have to go to the cross. So you have suggestions. So sometimes we got to be careful who came into our lives, looking like a friend, smelling like a friend. But what is the suggestion that they can influence? Why are we not building for better? Why are we not building for greater? Why are we in poverty? Why there's no elasticity? Why are we not matriculating and all of the likes? So tonight, Jay, I want you to just take another 5 minutes, man, and just give us some other nuggets and stuff like that. Because many people tonight, maybe their life, their in atmosphere, wherever they are, has been influenced, and they have so much questions that they don't know where the answers. But because the suggestion and influence has caused them to lower the standard. They lost in part one, and they lost and losing in part 2, 3, or 4 because of influence and suggestion.
No, you're right. And, a lot today we talk about what's out there, distractions. Social media is a huge influence. And we get impacted and influenced by clips. We get half information. We get gurus, overnight gurus that speak on things and, speak from platforms, because this camera comes on and we have a page, gives us a platform. And so we get influenced and we get distracted and we hear this and we hear that. And it's as you said, we have to really understand where true sources are, but we look for instant gratification. And instant gratification is being able to hear a clip, seeing and thinking that we can create something that's of value from a clip. from a small tidbit of information from someone that we don't know, or don't know the credibility, or don't know their real life, or we don't really understand. And so when we talk about that from not just a biblical standpoint, but we talk about it from an actual situation of today, from how we live today, I think that's really where a lot of the distractions come from. I think that's a lot where that we see we don't want to put in this work and have a standard of excellence because we feel that something can just go viral, or we could just get online and post something and our business just is going to explode because we posted it online, because we saw somebody else where this may have happened. But those are all distractions and they don't last long. So I would say, before I sign off, is that be patient. Be patient in your development, right? Be wise in where you get your advice, and be cautious um, before you move. And so that's what I'll, end tonight with, those words. So I thank you, Pastor Seon.
Thank you very much, Jay LeBon, to embrace our tribe, our community, and our village. Once again, family, thank you for embracing us with your presence. We believe in our love language, with its value, our mantra. We believe in the reciprocal nature of value. Value is our hallmark, and we raise the bar, we raise the standard, and we believe that we entitled. Yes, we entitled to get into places and spaces. We entitled to a seat at the table. We entitled to be evolved. We entitled to matriculate. Yes, we do take advice. Yes, we do take games from any and everyone, but yet we suggest it as a team because we believe that every phraseology is good for where we are going. Not every suggestion is great for us to evolve. With that being said, once again, my brother, my friend, my colleague, 10 toes down, you are a part of me, man. I love you from the first time I met you. We chop it up. I bring you into my community, and they love you. At the Guyana Association of Georgia, you've been a great help and support our youth. And I want to thank you for all that you have done. Being American, just throw yourself into the Caribbean community. I want to thank you so much for all you have done and what you continue to do. I know that God has a great door that is open for you. And may you embrace and walk into it with standards. And if nothing else, we teach ourselves, speaking to myself, standards in giving and standards in receiving. We're not going to receive any and everything, and we're not going to give any and everything. We are people of standards. So once again, thank you, my brother. And to your family and to your church family, we want to say thank you very much. We're going to close out at the end of this presentation tonight. So once again, thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. And I just want to let you know how much we love and care for you at the Conversation platform. We love you so much.
Thank you, Pastor Seon, and everyone at the Guyana Association. Man, tell them I said hello. Tell Miss Marilyn I said hello, and I can't wait to participate in the next yearly event.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I say Jesus, it's your story change. I ain't gonna change your story from nothing to something. Zero to hero, pain to get. So don't worry anymore, don't cry anymore, don't fear anymore. You pay the price for your pride. It took your sweaties and give you rest from zero to hero. Thank you to radio, only him knows nothing tomorrow. From zero to hero, there's message to get you. He did it for David, he did it for Joseph, he did it for Jabez, from story to glory. He would do it for you. Zero to hero is the life I live. I can face tomorrow. My Redeemer live. Yes, I'm a champion. I'm a royal priest. From zero to hero is the life I live. From zero to hero is the life I live. I can face tomorrow. My Redeemer champion. I'm a royal priest. From zero to hero. He's the life I live. Yeah, come on. You know what? I say Jesus, Jesus is your story changer. It gonna change the story from nothing to something. Zero to hero, pain to gain. So don't worry anymore. Don't cry anymore. Don't see it anymore. You pay the price for your pride. It took just what it is and give you rest from zero to hero. Thank you to radio. Only him knows your tomorrow. From zero to hero, there's message to give you. He did it for David. He did it for Joseph. He did it for Jabez. From story to glory. He will do it for you. Yeah. From zero to hero. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. From zero to hero. Zero to hero. He picks me up. Zero to hero. He blesses me. Zero to hero. He helps me. Zero to hero. He cares for me. Zero to hero. He loves me. Zero to hero. My provider. Zero to hero. My baby. Zero to hero. Yeah. From zero to hero. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. From zero to hero. Yeah, it's your one and only God's love, Abbasi. Here to encourage you in life, no matter what you pass through, you're gonna make it one day in life. Yeah. From zero to hero. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. From zero to hero. I was down, God lifts me up. He sets my feet upon the rock to stay. I have moved from nothing to something. From zero to hero is the life I live. Zero to hero is the life I live. I can face tomorrow. My redeemer live. Yes, I'm a champion. I'm a royal priest. From zero to hero is the life I live. From zero to hero is the life I live. I can face tomorrow. My redeemer live. Yes, I'm a champion. I'm a royal priest. From zero to hero is the life I live. Yeah. So one and one. From zero to hero. La 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 la. Come on, you know what I say? Jesus is your story changer. It gonna change the story from nothing to something. Zero to hero, pain to gain. So don't worry anymore. Don't cry anymore. Don't see it anymore. You pay the price for your pride. It took just what it is and give you rest from zero to hero. Thank you to radio. Only him knows your tomorrow. From zero to hero, there's message to get you. He did it for David. He did it for Joseph. He did it for Jabez. From story to glory. He would do it for you. Zero to hero is the life I live. I can face tomorrow. My redeemer live. Yes, I'm a champion. I'm a royal priest. From zero to hero is the life I live. From zero to hero is the life I live. I can face tomorrow. My redeemer live. Yes, I'm a champion. I'm a royal priest. From zero to hero is the life I live. Yeah, come on, you know what I say? Jesus is your story changer. It gonna change the story from nothing to something. Zero to hero, pain to gain. So don't worry anymore. Don't cry anymore. Don't see it anymore. You pay the price for your pride. It took la la la, from zero to hero, zero to hero. He picks me up, zero to hero. He blesses me, zero to hero. He helped me, zero to hero. He cares for me, zero to hero. He loves me, zero to hero. My provider, zero to hero. My baby, zero to hero. When we got, yeah, from zero to hero. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, from zero to hero.